What secrets lie behind the closed doors of a seemingly perfect home? This question echoed in the mind of Clara Thompson as she stood in her pristine kitchen, a warm light filtering through the sheer curtains, illuminating the carefully arranged decor. The scent of freshly baked cookies wafted through the air, mingling with the faint aroma of lavender from the potpourri that adorned the countertop. To an outsider, Clara's life appeared idyllic. A devoted housewife, she had a home that sparkled, a husband who adored her, and two beautiful children who filled her days with laughter. But beneath the surface of this suburban paradise lay a lingering sense of emptiness, a feeling that something vital was missing. Clara glanced at her reflection in the polished kitchen window. Her auburn hair was perfectly styled, falling in soft waves around her shoulders, and her makeup highlighted her features without being overdone. She wore a light blue sundress, a nod to the warm weather outside, but as she studied her reflection, she couldn't shake the feeling that the woman staring back at her was a mere shadow of who she once was. The vibrant dreams of her youth seemed to drift further away with each passing day, buried under layers of domesticity and the responsibilities that came with it. As she prepared for the evening, Clara couldn't help but reflect on her daily routine. The early mornings spent packing lunches for her children, the afternoons filled with grocery shopping and running errands, and the evenings dedicated to cooking dinner for Tom, her husband, who worked long hours to provide for their family. It was a cycle that repeated itself, comforting yet suffocating. Clara loved her family deeply, but with every chore she completed, she felt a piece of herself slip further away. That evening, Clara set the table, placing the silverware with precision and arranging the floral centerpiece just right. She wanted everything to be perfect for Tom's return. Yet, as she worked, her mind wandered to a dusty corner of their home office, where an old wooden drawer held a treasure that had been hidden away for years. The drawer was an unassuming piece of furniture, but it contained a letter, one that had the power to unravel the delicate fabric of her life if it were ever discovered. As she stirred the pot on the stove, Clara's heart raced at the thought of that letter. It was a remnant of her past, a glimpse into the dreams and aspirations she once held dear before the demands of motherhood and marriage took center stage. The letter had been written years ago, when she was still a college student, filled with hopes of becoming a writer. It had been a passionate outpouring of her thoughts, a declaration of her desire to share her voice with the world. But life had intervened, and those dreams had been tucked away like forgotten trinkets, overshadowed by the responsibilities of adulthood. When Tom walked through the door, his warm smile and the scent of his cologne brought Clara back to the present moment. He greeted her with a kiss on the cheek and a compliment about the delicious aroma of dinner. Clara felt a rush of affection for him, but it was quickly followed by the weight of her unspoken feelings. As they settled down at the dinner table, she couldn't shake the feeling that the conversation they were about to have would change everything. Over dinner, they chatted about the mundane details of their day. But Clara's mind was elsewhere. She found herself stealing glances at Tom, noting the laugh lines around his eyes and the way he pushed his hair back with a casual gesture. He was the man she had chosen to spend her life with. Yet tonight, the distance between them felt palpable. There was a flicker of something unspoken hanging in the air, and Clara sensed it too. It was as if the weight of her unfulfilled dreams was pressing down on their relationship, creating an invisible barrier that neither of them acknowledged. As they finished their meal, Tom excused himself to the living room to catch up on the news, leaving Clara alone in the kitchen. She took a deep breath, feeling the tension in her chest. It was now or never. She needed to confront her feelings, to share her thoughts about the letter that had haunted her for so long. But fear gripped her. What if Tom didn't understand? What if he saw her aspirations as a threat to their family? What if he was disappointed in her? With trembling hands, Clara wiped down the table, her thoughts racing. She had always been the supportive wife, the one who put her family first. But what about her? She had sacrificed her dreams for the life they had built together, and now she felt as though she had lost a part of herself in the process. The weight of her decision loomed over her like a dark cloud, and she knew that the conversation they were about to have would either bring them closer or shatter the illusion of their perfect life. Clara glanced at the clock, noting the time slipping away as she gathered her courage. She stepped into the living room, where Tom sat comfortably on the couch, engrossed in the news. He looked up as she entered, and the warmth of his smile washed over her. It was a reminder of the love they shared, but it also deepened her anxiety. How could she disrupt their peace with her inner turmoil? "Tom," she began, her voice barely above a whisper. He paused the television, giving her his full attention. The air between them felt charged, and Clara could feel her heart pounding in her chest. She took a seat beside him, her hands fidgeting in her lap. "What's on your mind, Clara?" he asked, concern etching his features. The intimacy of the moment made her heart swell, but it also made her vulnerability feel more pronounced. "I've been thinking a lot about us," she stammered, struggling to find the right words. "About my life, my dreams, things I haven't shared with you." Tom's brow furrowed slightly, and Clara could see the gears turning in his mind. He leaned forward, his expression shifting from curiosity to something deeper. "You know you can talk to me about anything, right?" The sincerity in his voice was both comforting and terrifying. Clara felt the urge to retreat, to hide behind her carefully constructed facade. But she couldn't. Not anymore. "I found something in the office," she admitted, her voice trembling. "An old letter, from when I was in college. It reminded me of who I used to be before we had kids, before I became this." She gestured around her, encompassing their home, their life together. Tom's expression softened, and Clara could see the concern in his eyes. "What does it say?" he prompted gently, encouraging her to continue. "It's about my dreams, Tom. I wanted to be a writer. I wanted to share stories, to inspire people. But I put that aside for our family, for you and the kids. And now, I feel like I've lost a part of myself." Her voice cracked as she spoke, the weight of her confession spilling forth like a dam breaking. Tom remained silent for a moment, processing her words. Clara could see the conflict on his face, the realization that their lives had been shaped by choices, some made together, and others alone. The silence stretched, heavy with unspoken emotions, and Clara held her breath, fearing the moment of truth was upon them. "Clara, I had no idea you felt this way," he finally responded, his tone serious. "I thought you were happy. You've always been so dedicated to our family." "I am happy," she insisted, tears welling in her eyes. "But there's a part of me that feels unfulfilled. I miss the woman I was before, the dreams I had. I don't want to resent you or our life together, but I need to find a way to balance both." Tom leaned back, crossing his arms as he contemplated her words. Clara's heart raced, anxiety bubbling within her. Would he understand? Would he support her desires? Or would he view them as a threat to their home? The tension in the room crackled, a palpable energy that hung in the air as they both navigated the complexity of their emotions. Clara could feel the fear creeping in, the possibility of rejection lurking just beyond reach. But she had opened the door, and there was no closing it now. She had to believe that they could find a way to bridge the gap between their dreams and their reality. As Tom remained silent, Clara's thoughts raced. She thought of the dreams she had tucked away, the stories that had yet to be told. She thought of the woman she wanted to be, not just for herself, but for her family. She wanted them to see her as more than just a housewife. She wanted them to see her as a person with passions, dreams, and a voice. The moment hung in the air, charged with uncertainty, and Clara knew that the next words spoken would shape their future. Would they be able to navigate this new territory together, or would this revelation drive a wedge between them? The stakes had never felt higher, and Clara braced herself for the response that would come, knowing it would determine the course of their relationship forever. Clara's heart raced as she awaited Tom's response. The silence in the room felt suffocating, heavy with unspoken words and unacknowledged feelings. She studied Tom's face, searching for any hint of understanding or compassion. but his expression remained inscrutable. Clara's mind was a whirlwind of emotions, each one vying for attention. The letter, a mere piece of paper, had become a symbol of everything she had sacrificed and a reminder of the dreams she had buried beneath layers of domesticity. "Clara," Tom finally spoke, his voice tentative. "I didn't realize you felt this way. I thought we were happy." His words pierced through her, igniting a mixture of guilt and frustration. "Happy? Yes, in some ways. But is that all we are? Just happy on the surface?" Clara's voice trembled as she fought to keep her emotions in check. "I've been so focused on being the perfect wife and mother that I lost sight of who I am. I've been living in this bubble, and it's suffocating me." Tom shifted in his seat, his brows furrowing as he processed her words. "I thought you liked being at home with the kids. You've always said how much you enjoy it. What changed?" Clara took a deep breath, the air thick with tension. "I do love our children, and I cherish the moments we have as a family. But it's not enough anymore. I want more from life. I want to be more than just mom or Tom's wife. I want to write. I want to share my stories with the world." The admission hung in the air, and Clara felt a weight lift slightly off her shoulders. Yet, the fear of Tom's reaction loomed large. She had seen glimpses of his frustration with her subtle hints of dissatisfaction in the past, moments when he had brushed off her aspirations as mere whims. Would this be one of those moments? Tom's silence stretched on, and Clara's heart sank. I just want you to understand," she continued, her voice now barely above a whisper. "I've been feeling trapped, and it's not because of you or the kids. It's because I've been holding back my own dreams for so long. Clara, I never wanted you to feel that way," he finally said, his tone softer. "But why didn't you tell me sooner? We could have figured this out together." "Because I was scared," she admitted, tears pooling in her eyes. "Scared that you wouldn't support me, that you would see my dreams as a threat to our family life. I didn't want to disappoint you or the kids. I thought I could push these feelings aside, but they've only grown stronger." Tom ran a hand through his hair, visibly struggling to process her revelation. "I wish you would have come to me. I want you to be happy, Clara. But I need to know what this means for us." "What do you want to do?" Clara felt a spark of hope, but uncertainty still loomed. "I want to take a writing class, just something part-time to start. I want to explore this passion and see where it leads me. It's about finding my voice again." Tom's expression softened, but the concern remained. "What about the kids? What about our routine? I'm not sure how we can manage everything." "I know it's a lot to ask," Clara said quickly, "but I need you to trust me. This isn't just a phase. It's about rediscovering who I am, and I want to do it alongside you and the kids. I want to show them that it's okay to pursue your passions, no matter how old you are." The weight of the moment settled between them, and Clara could see the gears turning in Tom's mind. Would he support her? Could they navigate this new chapter together? "I'll think about it," he finally said, his voice steady but cautious. "But you have to understand that this is a big change for all of us. We need to talk about how it will affect our lives." Relief washed over Clara, mingled with the realization that this was just the beginning of a long conversation. "Thank you," she whispered, feeling a mix of gratitude and anxiety. "I just want us to be open with each other." As the conversation faded, Clara couldn't shake the lingering doubt that still clung to her. Even though Tom was willing to consider her dreams, would he truly understand the depth of her desire to write? The fear of rejection crept back in, reminding her of the times she had felt unsupported in the past. In the following days, Clara found herself consumed by a whirlwind of emotions. She began to explore writing again, pulling out her old notebook and pens that had collected dust in a forgotten drawer. Each word she penned was cathartic, a release of the pent-up creativity that had long been stifled. Yet, with every stroke of the pen, anxiety gnawed at her. Would Tom truly embrace this new chapter? Would he be there to support her when the challenges arose? Her best friend, Mia, seemed to sense the turmoil within Clara. One afternoon, they met for coffee at their favorite cafe, the familiar aroma of fresh brews mingling with the chatter of other patrons. Clara couldn't hold back any longer and shared her fears with Mia. "What if he doesn't really want me to pursue this?" Clara confessed, her hands trembling around the warm cup. "What if he thinks I'm being selfish?" Mia leaned in, her expression serious yet encouraging. "Clara, you have to believe that you deserve this. You've dedicated so much of your life to being a wife and mother, and it's okay to want something for yourself. It doesn't make you selfish, it makes you human. But what if it disrupts our family? What if the kids don't understand?" Clara's voice wavered, uncertainty creeping back in. "Kids adapt, Clara. They see how hard you work for them, and they learn from your example. You're teaching them the value of pursuing their passions. Don't underestimate the power of showing them that it's okay to follow their dreams, no matter what." Clara felt a flicker of hope ignite within her. Mia's words resonated deeply, reminding her that she wasn't just fighting for her own dreams, she was also paving the way for her children to embrace their own aspirations. As days turned into weeks, Clara immersed herself in writing. She enrolled in a part-time class at the local community center, where she met fellow aspiring writers who shared their stories and struggles. The sense of camaraderie was invigorating, and the validation she received from her peers fueled her passion further. Yet, despite the excitement of her newfound journey, Clara still found herself grappling with moments of doubt. She struggled to balance her responsibilities at home with her writing aspirations. The demands of motherhood and household chores often felt overwhelming, and there were days when she questioned if she could truly make it work. One evening, as Clara sat at her kitchen table with her notebook open, the realization hit her hard. Torn between her roles as a writer and a mother, she felt stretched thin. The kids were restless, and Tom had come home late from work, leaving Clara to manage dinner and homework alone. Frustration bubbled beneath the surface, and she felt the familiar sense of defeat creeping in. "Mom, can you help me with my project?" Her son, Jake, called from the living room, his voice laced with urgency. "Just a minute, honey," Clara replied, her tone strained. She glanced at her notebook, the words she had been crafting fading into the background. "I'll be right there." As she helped Jake with his project, a wave of guilt washed over her. She wanted to be fully present for her family, yet a part of her yearned to escape into the world of storytelling. The internal conflict was exhausting, and Clara struggled to find a way to reconcile her dreams with her responsibilities. Later that night, after the kids were tucked in bed, Clara sat with Tom in the living room. The tension that had lingered between them was palpable, and she sensed that they needed to have another conversation about her writing. "Tom, can we talk?" Clara started, her heart pounding in her chest. She could see the concern etched on his face, and she knew that this was a crucial moment. "Sure. What's on your mind?" he replied, leaning back in his chair. "I've been thinking about how to balance everything. My writing, the kids, our home. It's harder than I thought it would be," Clara admitted, her voice tinged with vulnerability. "I don't want to neglect our family, but I also don't want to give up on my dreams." Tom nodded, understanding flickering in his eyes. "I get it, Clara. I really do. I want to support you, but we need to find a way that works for all of us. It's a big change, and I'm still trying to figure out my role in this." Clara felt a sense of relief wash over her. "I appreciate that, Tom. Maybe we can come up with a plan together. A schedule that allows us to manage everything without feeling overwhelmed." "Yeah, that sounds good. Let's sit down this weekend and figure it out." "I want you to pursue your dreams, but I also want to make sure we're all on the same page," he replied, his tone sincere. As they discussed their options, Clara felt a renewed sense of hope. It wouldn't be easy, but she could see a path forward, a way to blend her responsibilities with her aspirations. The conversation marked a turning point, and she realized that they were in this together, navigating the complexities of family life and personal fulfillment. In the following days, Clara and Tom worked on a schedule that allowed her time for writing while ensuring their family responsibilities were met. It felt liberating to have a plan, and Clara threw herself into her writing with newfound energy. The fears that had once held her back began to fade, replaced by a sense of purpose and determination. As the weeks passed, Clara's confidence grew. She found her voice in her writing, crafting stories that resonated with her own experiences and emotions. The process became a form of therapy, a way to express herself and connect with others. She even considered submitting some pieces to local publications, a thought that had once seemed daunting but now felt exhilarating. Yet, as Clara embraced her journey, she couldn't shake the nagging feeling that she was still on shaky ground. Would Tom continue to support her as she pushed further into her writing? Would their family dynamics shift in ways she hadn't anticipated? The answers to those questions lingered in the back of her mind as she poured her heart into her stories. The letter that had ignited this journey now felt like a distant memory, a catalyst for change that had opened the door to a new chapter in her life. But with each passing day, Clara knew that she was inching closer to discovering not just her dreams, but also the strength to pursue them unapologetically. Clara sat at her kitchen table, the morning sun pouring through the window, casting a warm glow over the room. A half-finished cup of coffee grew cold beside her, untouched as her mind raced. The weight of her conversation with Tom hung heavily in the air, and the echoes of their words lingered like a haunting melody. She had finally opened up, revealing the dreams she had long buried beneath layers of duty and expectation. Yet, as she replayed the exchange in her mind, doubt began to creep in. Tom's eyes had widened with surprise, a mix of confusion and concern flickering across his face. Clara had steeled herself, taking a deep breath before she shared her aspirations of writing again, of diving back into the creative realm she had once cherished. But as she spoke, she noticed a subtle shift in his demeanor. He listened, but the tightness in his jaw suggested he was grappling with more than just her words. Would he understand? Would he support her newfound passion? Those questions spiraled in her mind, gnawing at her resolve. Clara had hoped for a sense of liberation, a shared excitement about the possibility of her pursuing her dreams. Instead, she felt a familiar pang of anxiety, reminiscent of the early days of their marriage when every decision felt monumental, every choice a potential fracture in their relationship. As the day unfolded, Clara busied herself with household chores, trying to distract herself from the turmoil brewing within. The rhythmic motions of folding laundry and washing dishes provided temporary solace, but her thoughts continually drifted back to Tom's reaction. The warmth of the sun outside contrasted sharply with the chill of uncertainty that settled in her heart. Later that afternoon, Clara received a text from Mia, her best friend and confidant, asking if they could meet for coffee. The invitation felt like a lifeline, and Clara quickly agreed. She needed to talk, to process the whirlwind of emotions swirling inside her. As she prepared to leave, she glanced at the drawer where the letter lay hidden, the letter that had catalyzed her journey of self-discovery. It felt like a symbol of her aspirations, a tangible reminder of who she once was before the weight of responsibility took its toll. At the cafe, the aroma of freshly brewed coffee filled the air, mingling with the warm chatter of patrons. Clara spotted Mia at a corner table, her bright smile cutting through Clara's apprehension. They hugged, and for a moment, Clara felt the weight of her worries lift just slightly. "Hey you look a little frazzled. What's going on?" Mia asked, concern etching her features as they settled into their seats. Clara hesitated for a moment, contemplating how to articulate the storm brewing inside her. "I talked to Tom about my writing," she began, her voice barely above a whisper. "I thought it would feel liberating, but I don't know. I'm not sure how he really feels about it." Mia leaned in, her eyes sparkling with encouragement. "What do you mean? How did he react?" "He seemed surprised, maybe even overwhelmed. I thought he'd be happy for me, but instead, he looked worried. I just don't know if he understands how much this means to me." Clara's voice trembled, and she took a sip of her coffee, hoping to mask her vulnerability. Mia reached across the table, placing her hand over Clara's. "Clara, You have to give him time. This is a big change, not just for you, but for him too. You've been a devoted housewife for so long. It's natural for him to feel unsure. But what if he doesn't want me to pursue this? What if he thinks I'm being selfish? Clara's heart raced at the thought, the familiar guilt creeping back in. Hey, listen to me, Mia said firmly. You deserve to have your own dreams. It doesn't make you selfish, it makes you human. And if Tom truly loves you, he'll come around. Just give him a chance to process it. Clara nodded, though uncertainty still gnawed at her. The conversation shifted, and they talked about lighter topics, but the underlying tension remained, a constant hum in the background. As the sun began to dip below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, Clara returned home, her mind still swirling with thoughts of her conversation with Tom. She found him in the living room, scrolling through his phone, a look of concentration on his face. Clara took a deep breath, steeling herself for another round of discussions. Hey, can we talk? She asked, trying to keep her voice steady. Tom looked up, his expression softening. Sure, what's on your mind? Clara settled beside him on the couch, her heart racing as she searched for the right words. I've been thinking about what we talked about earlier, about my writing. Tom's brow furrowed slightly, and Clara could see the gears turning in his mind. I know it's a lot to take in, and I want you to know that I support you. I just worry about how this will change things for us. Clara felt a flicker of hope. I understand. But it doesn't have to change what we have. I just want to feel like I'm doing something for myself, too. He sighed, running a hand through his hair, a gesture that Clara recognized as a sign of stress. It's just, I've always relied on you being here, and I don't want to lose that. I don't want to feel like I'm competing for your attention. Clara's heart sank at his words. You won't lose me, Tom. I promise. This is about me finding myself again, but I still want to be here for you and the kids. As they sat in silence, Clara felt the weight of his concerns. The uncertainty of their future loomed large, but she couldn't help but believe that confronting these fears was a step toward a more authentic life. As the evening wore on, they continued to talk, slowly unraveling the knot of emotions that had built up between them. Clara found herself sharing more about her dreams, her desire to write, and how important it was for her to express herself beyond the confines of her roles. Tom listened intently, his expression shifting from worry to contemplation. The conversation meandered through their shared history, the joys and struggles of their marriage. Clara felt a sense of relief as they began to bridge the gap that had formed between them. It wasn't a complete resolution, but it was a start, a fragile but hopeful beginning. As they prepared to go to bed, Clara couldn't shake the feeling that a significant shift had occurred. The air felt lighter, and though uncertainties remained, a new understanding had begun to take root. She climbed into bed beside Tom, feeling the warmth of his presence. Before drifting off to sleep, Clara made a silent vow to herself. She would pursue her writing, no matter the challenges that lay ahead. It wasn't just about the stories she wanted to tell. It was about reclaiming a part of herself that had been dormant for far too long. The following days unfolded with a mix of excitement and trepidation. Clara began to carve out time for her writing, waking up early to jot down her thoughts before the chaos of the day began. She found solace in the quiet moments, the words flowing from her heart onto the page like a long-lost friend returning home. Yet, as she immersed herself in her stories, a whisper of doubt lingered in the back of her mind. What if Tom couldn't fully support her? What if their family dynamic shifted in ways she hadn't anticipated? Each word she penned felt like both a declaration of independence and a step into the unknown. Clara's writing sessions became a blend of joy and anxiety. Each completed page felt like a victory, yet the nagging fear of Tom's acceptance loomed large. She longed for his encouragement, for him to share in her passion. But as the days turned into weeks, a silence settled in their home. Tom returned to his routine, and while he never explicitly voiced his concerns, Clara could sense a tension underneath the surface. The small talk over dinner felt strained, and the laughter they once shared seemed to echo in the distance. Clara's heart ached as she realized that while she was rediscovering herself, the connection they had built felt fragile and tentative. One evening, as Clara sat at the kitchen counter, her laptop open before her, she found herself staring at the blinking cursor. The words flowed easily, but her mind was elsewhere, occupied with thoughts of Tom and their relationship. Unable to concentrate, she decided to take a break and stepped outside for some fresh air. The cool evening breeze brushed against her skin, and she breathed deeply, trying to clear her mind. That's when she noticed Tom working in the yard, his brow furrowed as he focused on trimming the bushes. Clara watched him for a moment, the familiar sight pulling at her heart. She loved him deeply, yet the distance between them felt insurmountable at times. Gathering her courage, Clara approached him. "Hey, mind if I join you?" Tom looked up, surprise flickering in his eyes before he nodded. "Sure, I could use the company." They worked side by side in silence for a while, the rhythmic sound of shears cutting through the leaves filling the air. Clara felt the tension slowly dissipate as they fell into a comfortable routine, but the underlying emotions remained unaddressed. Finally, Clara broke the silence. "Tom, can we talk about us? About how things have been?" He paused, setting down the shears as he turned to face her. "Yeah, I think we need to." As they sat down on the porch steps, Clara felt her heart race. It was now or never. "I know things have changed since I started writing again, and I want to understand how you're feeling about it all." Tom sighed, the weight of his feelings evident in his expression. "Honestly, Clara, I'm proud of you for pursuing your dreams. But I also feel like I'm losing you in the process. I miss the way we used to connect." Clara's heart ached at his honesty. "I miss that too. But I need this, Tom. I need to feel like I'm more than just a housewife. I want to share my passions with you, not lose you." Tom nodded slowly, the tension in his shoulders softening. "I want that too. I just need to learn how to support you without feeling like I'm losing you." In that moment, Clara realized that their journey was not just about her dreams, but about finding a way to navigate this new chapter together. They embraced the vulnerability of their conversation, allowing the honesty to pave the way for understanding. As darkness fell over their quiet neighborhood, Clara felt a flicker of hope ignite within her. They were on a path to healing, one that required patience and open communication. The tension that had once seemed insurmountable now felt manageable, as if they were finally beginning to mend the gaps that had formed between them. Clara's heart whispered promises of new beginnings, not just for her writing, but for their relationship as well. The letter she had found so long ago, the catalyst for her journey, now felt like a reminder of the importance of connection and vulnerability. She was ready to embrace both her dreams and her marriage, and as they sat together under the stars, she knew this was just the beginning of a transformative journey. As Clara sat next to Tom beneath the expansive sky, she felt the cool breeze brush against her cheeks, a refreshing contrast to the warmth radiating from their shared moments of vulnerability. The stars twinkled like distant dreams, and for the first time in a long while, Clara felt a sense of peace wash over her. The heavy weight of unspoken words had been lifted, revealing the potential for a renewed connection with her husband. "Tom," she began, her voice steady but laced with emotion, "I've realized that I've been holding back not just from you, but from myself. I've sacrificed so much, and in doing so, I lost a part of who I am." She paused, searching his eyes for understanding. "I can't keep pretending that I'm completely happy in this life if it means ignoring my dreams." Tom looked at her, his brow furrowing slightly as he processed her words. "Clara, I never wanted you to feel like you had to give everything up for us." His voice was gentle, yet Clara could sense the turmoil brewing beneath the surface. I thought you were content." "I was," she admitted. "But contentment isn't the same as fulfillment. I want you to know that I love being a mother and a wife. But I also want to write, to explore the thoughts that swirl in my mind, to share my voice." Tom shifted in his seat, his expression softening. I know you used to write all the time. I loved reading your stories. What happened to that part of you? Clara took a deep breath, feeling the encouragement in his tone. Life happened, I suppose. I got so caught up in creating a home that I forgot to nurture my own passions. But I found that letter, and it awakened something inside me, something I thought I had buried. The night air was thick with emotion, and the silence that followed felt heavy yet comforting. Tom's gaze returned to the stars, and Clara could see his mind racing, processing everything she had just laid bare. What do you want to do with your writing? He finally asked, his voice barely above a whisper. I want to write stories that resonate with people. Stories that reflect the struggles and joys of everyday life, Clara replied, her heart racing. I want to share my experiences, my feelings, and maybe inspire others who feel stuck like I did. Tom turned to her, a renewed spark igniting in his eyes. Then why don't you start now? You've always been talented. I've seen you pour your heart into everything you do. Why not pour that into your writing? Clara felt a rush of gratitude at his encouragement, but uncertainty crept back in. What if it takes away from my responsibilities? What if I end up neglecting our family? Clara, pursuing your passion doesn't mean abandoning us, Tom reassured her, a soft smile spreading across his face. You can do both. We can make it work. I want to support you, just as you've supported me. His words filled her with warmth, but the reality of balancing her dreams with her responsibilities loomed large. I'm scared, Tom. What if I fail? What if my writing isn't good enough? Then you try again, he responded firmly. You've always encouraged me to strive for more in my career. It's time I returned the favor. You owe it to yourself to at least try. Clara's heart swelled with hope, the barriers she had built around her aspirations beginning to crumble. You really mean that? Of course I do. You're my partner, Clara. We're in this together. I want to see you happy, fulfilled, and chasing your dreams. I'll help in any way I can. A wave of emotion surged through Clara, and she felt tears prick at the corners of her eyes. Thank you, Tom. I didn't know how you would react. I was so afraid of losing what we have. Tom reached over and took her hand, his grip reassuring. You're not going to lose me. We'll navigate this together. You're not alone in this. Clara nodded, feeling a sense of relief wash over her. The path ahead was still uncertain, but for the first time, she felt optimistic. Maybe this was the beginning of something beautiful, not just for her, but for their family too. As they sat in comfortable silence, the stars bore witness to their newfound commitment to each other. Clara realized that the journey of self-discovery she was about to embark on would not only benefit her, but would also deepen the connection she shared with Tom and their children. The following days were a whirlwind of emotions for Clara. She took Tom's words to heart and began to carve out small pockets of time to write. Early mornings before the kids woke up, or late nights after they had gone to bed, became her sacred moments of creativity. She filled page after page in her journal, allowing her thoughts and feelings to flow freely. Each word was a step toward reclaiming her identity. As she wrote, Clara found herself reflecting on her experiences as a housewife, intertwining her daily life with the stories she crafted. The mundane tasks of cooking, cleaning, and caring for her family transformed into rich narratives filled with humor, heartache, and triumph. She wrote about her struggles, her joys, and the beauty of the ordinary. It was liberating, and the more she wrote, the more alive she felt. But with newfound passion came challenges. Balancing her writing with household responsibilities tested Clara's resolve. There were times when she felt overwhelmed, caught between the demands of her family and her desire to pursue her dreams. One afternoon, as she sat at the kitchen table, eyes fixed on her journal, her son, Ethan, burst in, a soccer ball tucked under his arm. "Mom, can you come watch me practice?" he pleaded, his eyes wide with excitement. Clara hesitated, torn between her commitment to writing and her role as a mother. "I'm in the middle of something, sweetie. Can you wait just a little longer?" Ethan's face fell, and Clara's heart sank. She realized that while she was chasing her dreams, she didn't want to miss out on these precious moments with her children. "Okay," she finally said, closing her journal. "Let me just grab my shoes and I'll be right there." As she watched Ethan practice, kicking the ball with determination, Clara felt a renewed sense of purpose. She didn't have to choose between being a writer and being a mother. She could be both. This realization sparked a new idea in her mind. What if she could incorporate her experiences with her children into her writing? Could she create stories that celebrated the joys of motherhood while also pursuing her ambitions? Inspired, Clara began to jot down notes during soccer practices, capturing the little moments that made her heart swell. The sight of Ethan's triumphant grin whenever he scored a goal, the laughter shared with her daughter Lily during afternoon tea parties. They all became threads woven into the tapestry of her writing. Clara was no longer just a housewife. She was a storyteller, using her life as the foundation for her art. But as Clara embraced her writing journey, she also recognized that open communication with Tom was essential. She shared her progress with him, detailing the stories she had written and the emotions that fueled her creativity. Tom listened intently, offering feedback and encouragement, which further solidified their bond. One evening, Clara sat in their living room, a stack of freshly printed pages spread before her. "Tom, I want to share something with you," she said, her heart racing. "These are the stories I've written over the past few weeks. I'm nervous, but I want you to read them." Tom's eyes lit up with curiosity as he accepted the pages, flipping through them with care. Clara watched anxiously, her heart pounding in her chest. Would he understand? Would he appreciate the essence of her words? After what felt like an eternity, Tom looked up, his expression a mix of surprise and admiration. "Clara, these are incredible. You have a gift. I can feel your voice in every word." Tears brimmed in Clara's eyes at his praise. "Really? You mean it?" "Absolutely. You've captured the beauty of our everyday life in such a unique way. I can't believe you've been hiding this talent from me." In that moment, Clara felt a surge of confidence. The fears that had once held her back began to dissipate, replaced by the realization that she was not only a housewife, but also a passionate writer. Their conversations became a shared journey, as Tom encouraged her to submit her stories to local publications and explore opportunities to connect with the writing community. As Clara took those steps, she discovered a world filled with like-minded individuals who shared her passion for storytelling. She attended workshops, where she met other writers and formed friendships that inspired her to keep pushing forward. The once lonely path of a housewife transformed into a vibrant network of creativity and support. Through it all, Clara never lost sight of her family. She continued to balance her writing with her responsibilities, ensuring that her children felt loved and supported. Her journey became a family affair, with Tom often helping her brainstorm ideas and the kids contributing their own stories inspired by their adventures together. As the months passed, Clara's confidence grew, and she began to see her work published in local magazines. Each acceptance letter was a testament to her hard work and determination, and each publication felt like a victory not just for her, but for their entire family. One evening, as they gathered around the dinner table, Clara shared the news of her latest publication. "I got my story accepted in the local magazine. They're going to publish it next month." Ethan and Lily cheered, their faces beaming with pride. "That's amazing, Mom," Ethan exclaimed. "You're a real writer." Tom reached over and took Clara's hand, his eyes sparkling with admiration. "I always knew you had it in you. This is just the beginning." Clara felt a rush of love and gratitude for the support that surrounded her. In that moment, she knew that the journey she embarked on was not just about her dreams, but also about the strength of their family bond. They had navigated challenges together, and now they were reaping the rewards of their shared commitment to growth and understanding. As Clara continued her writing journey, she understood the importance of maintaining balance in her life. She learned to prioritize her time, carving out moments for both her family and her passion. The once daunting task of pursuing her dreams felt manageable, and she reveled in the joy of creating. Reflecting on her journey, Clara felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude. She had faced her fears, embraced her identity, and discovered the beauty of vulnerability. The letter that had once been a hidden relic of her past had sparked a transformation, leading her to a life rich with purpose and fulfillment. As she sat down to write one evening, Clara found herself filled with inspiration. The words flowed effortlessly from her pen, and she knew she was exactly where she was meant to be. With each story she wrote, she not only honored her dreams, but also celebrated the love and support that surrounded her. In the end, Clara's journey was not just about becoming a writer, it was about rediscovering herself, finding her voice, and embracing the complexities of life as a devoted housewife and a passionate storyteller. She had learned that pursuing her dreams didn't mean sacrificing her family. Instead, it enriched their lives together. As she penned the final words of her latest story, a smile spread across her face. Clara knew that the chapters of her life were still being written, and she was ready to embrace whatever came next. With pen in hand and her heart open, she was ready to share her stories with the world, confident that her journey would resonate with others who dared to chase their dreams. "Thank you for being part of my journey," she whispered to the stars above, knowing that each night was a reminder of the possibilities that lay ahead. Clara was no longer just a housewife. She was a storyteller, and her voice was finally ready to be heard. And with that, she turned off the light, ready to embrace whatever tomorrow would bring, knowing that her dreams were now intertwined with the love of her family and the courage to pursue her passions. As the screen fades to black, the audience is left to reflect on their own dreams and the importance of embracing one's true self, an invitation to comment, like, and subscribe as they join Clara on her journey of self-discovery and empowerment.